Hello everyone and welcome to the solution table. This is the only place to get informed to be transformed. I am your host, Ahitofel. Puzzle number 2 is what letters should appear in the fourth box? We have 4 boxes with an empty box as box number 4. So let's name the boxes as box number 1, 2, 3, and then unknown box number 4. In mapping up a strategy to solve a puzzle of this nature, that is puzzle that involves letters, one can consider the numerical value of the alphabet or their position on the alphabet chart. That should say that A represents 1 or 26, C represents 3 or 24, B represents 2 or 25, and that applies to all the letters on the alphabet. Okay. In our situation, because we have 4 different boxes, and our object is to find letters that will appear in the fourth box, then we cannot work out the boxes in isolation. So looking at their values will not be that relevant. What we need to do now is to establish a connection between the letters on the various boxes and how they can generate new letters to appear on box number 4. So looking at the position of the letters on the various boxes, we have cell 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that applies to all the boxes. Okay, trying to establish a connection between the cells on the various boxes, we can see that appears in cell number 1. B appears in cell number 1 in box 2, and C appears in cell number 1 in box 3. So looking at the pattern that appears in this cell, we can see that we have A, B, C, and that unknown number can be a D because it follows a pattern. So let's draw another box here to fill our answers in. So we have our new box. So looking at the pattern between the letters in the first cell, we can see that from A, we move to B, then to C. Then it means that the obvious pattern would then be a D. So D should appear in the first cell in box number 4. Now looking at the letters in the cell 2 in the various boxes, we have C, E, and J. Now this is progressive because from C we move to letter E, which comes after C, and then from C we move to letter J, which also comes after E, which means that if we want to check the position of these letters on the alphabet chart, which I have already designed beforehand, we can see that by examining the position of these letters, that is C, E, and J, we have C, E, and then J. We can see that the letters progress with 2 steps forward. So looking at C, we move to E, then we jump to J. So the next letter that will follow will also have to take 2 steps forward, and that will be an I. So we have I. So I will appear in the second cell in box number 4. So using the same clue, we can see that there appears to be a pattern of steps forward after each subsequent letter. Therefore, the same thing can apply to the various cells to get letters to replace cell number 3 and 4 in box number 4. So let's look at the third cell. We have J, K, and then O. Let's look at the position of these letters on the alphabet chart. We have J over here again. Then from J we move to K. We count 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to K. Then from K we move to O. 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to K. O, I'm sorry. So it means that to get the next letter, we need to move 4 steps forward. And that should be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should land us on X. So from O, we move to S. So S will appear in the third cell in the fourth box. Now let's examine the fourth cell. We have E, K, We have E, H, and K. We have E, H, and K on cell 4. Now, looking at the position of this as well on the alphabet chart, we realize that we have E over here, then from E move to H, and then to K. So you can see that this is 3 steps forward. We have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This means that we need to move 3 steps forward to get the letter for cell number 4. And that will be 1, 2, 3. That will land us on N. So N will then appear on the fourth cell in the fourth box. So that will be an N. Now let's do a bit of analysis here. We realize that in the cell number 1, we moved 1 step forward. So that will be a +1 to get the unknown letter as D. Then in cell number 2, we moved 2 steps forward to get the unknown letter as I. That will be a +2. Then in cell number 3, we moved 4 steps forward to get S in the cell number 3, and then we moved 3 steps forward to get N. Looking at this pattern, we realize that from 1, we move to 2, then we jump to 4, and then to 3. So if we're not very careful in analyzing an IQ puzzle, which mostly will help you to think in a certain direction that you feel comfortable and that will later lead you in the wrong answer, you realize that you'll be in a haste to move 3 steps forward to get the third letter in the third cell, and that will land you in the wrong answer. So that little advice is that you need to be sure of the pattern that you are getting, irrespective of the pattern that you have assumed earlier, and that will help you to get the correct answer. So this will be the solution to puzzle number 2. This is a very simple puzzle, only if you're very comfortable with the alphabet on the alphabetical chart. Please subscribe to the channel once again, leave your comment down below, share this video with your friends, and see you next time on puzzle number 3.